They say a community is only as good as the people that volunteer within it. Giving back to that community that we work, live, and play in is an ideal way for those to make a difference. One such program, giving back to children and to the community, is Guardian Ad Litem. Joining us in studio to talk a little bit about the program is Diane Schmelz. She is a recruiter and training coordinator for the Guardian Ad Litem program. How you doing, Diane?
I'm good, thank you.
Well,
glad to be here.
Well, you know, like we always say, always welcome to be here and for such
Thank
a
you.
great cause. For those that might not know, Guardian Ad Litem is what?
We become the voice for children who've been removed from their homes because they've been abused or neglected. So we don't go in and we don't investigate allegations, we don't remove the children, but somebody calls in an abuse report. Maybe a doctor sees injuries in an emergency room and the explanation doesn't fit the injury he's looking at. Or maybe a teacher has a child that trusts them and tells them about being beaten at home or whatever the allegations happen to be. Someone calls in an abuse report, the Department of Children and Families investigates, and if they feel it's warranted, they remove the children. A judge reassesses everything, makes sure, yeah, these kids are at risk. These are abused or neglected or abandoned children. And at that point, the judge appoints the Guardian Ad Litem program.
And Guardian Ad Litem from the derives from the Latin language.
Yes.
What exactly does it mean?
It means guardian at law. We are appointed by the law. In every state, they have a program like this. Most states, it's called CASA, C-A-S-A, and it stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate, because that's what we are. We become the voice for the child by getting to know the kids, talking to parents and teachers and doctors and caregivers, maybe a foster mom, so that we can make a recommendation to the court, what we think is best for the children.
You know, if it weren't for old police dramas and, of course, you know, lawyer dramas from back in the day, my Latin would be horrible. I think I know two things, Guardian Ad Litem and writ of habeas corpus.
Yes. You're better than most people. I usually get kind of a blank stare when I say Guardian Ad Litem, and they'll say, Guardian what? And I thought, oh, even to just heighten the awareness of who we are and what we do is important. You know?
Well, how do people become involved with the program?
Well,
take us through the steps.
Well, they call the office, get called to get information, or they can go online. First thing is an application, and it's a tough volunteering position. We do this year round. It's not like you go and just volunteer one day, you know, which some great opportunities out there, but it is more of a commitment than that, because besides gathering information, we become maybe the one and only trusted adult in that child's life. You know, they don't know who to rely on. They're moved from home to home. They're separated from siblings. So when you can become that trusted friend, that mentor, the person that the kids know, wow, my Guardian Ad Litem cares. I matter to somebody. That's the world. Our volunteers don't need any special training. You don't have to have a legal background or a medical background. We have guardians that have GEDs, right through guardians with doctorates and everything in between. And I honestly believe everybody comes with their own gifts and talents. Then they come with life lessons and education and insight and understanding from situations they've been in. We do give every volunteer 30 hours of training, and that's the start. We bring you into our office. You do about half of it classroom style. The other half they do at home by reading some chapters, answering some questions. But then, once you're certified, that's when the training really begins, because you start walking through a case and working a case with your coordinator, a staff person, and our attorneys. So the volunteer is never on their own. They're not out there on that limb by themselves, but they are the eyes and the ears. And they fill out the application to start. We do an interview, and then the process starts.
Last month we had the opportunity to talk with Bikers Against Child Abuse. They go into the homes and kind of act as a third party and in gaining that child's trust. Talk a little bit about that. You know, these kids are put in some horrible situations at times and by their own parents or somebody close to them. Talk about that third party, that person from the outside gaining that trust and becoming a part of that child's life.
It's amazing. And it doesn't happen easily. Some kids just, anybody who shows them attention, they thrive. Some kids push away before they're going to open up and trust somebody, again, because they've learned, don't trust. your mom and dad let you down. Not that their parents don't love them, and we know mom and dads love their kids, but drugs are an issue. There's a lot of issues in this county. So these children very often push away before they start to attach. I had a situation just a couple months ago. I was speaking, and at the end of the talk, a young lady raised her hand. She was in her mid to late 20s, and she said, I had a Guardian Ad Litem. I said, did you really? And she said, oh, she said she was wonderful. She was, I am where I am today because of my guardian. She said, my case closed about 8 years ago. And she said, I did lose touch with her. And she said, oh, I'd love to reconnect and let her know what I'm doing. So she gave me the guardian's name, and the person is still a guardian. She's been doing this about 14 years. And so I took this young lady's phone number, called the guardian, and I said, guess who I met? This young lady wants to reconnect with you. And the guardian said, really? She hated me. She was a teenager. She said she wouldn't talk to me. She'd grunt, whatever, yeah, whatever. And she said at one visit, the teenager said to the guardian, I don't know why you keep bothering. Why do you keep coming back to see me? I will end up in jail or juvenile detention. And the guardian said to her, good, I'll know where to find you. You're not getting rid of me that easily. I will still continue to visit. Today, 8 years later, that young lady is saying, I'm where I am. I made it because of my guardian. Guardian didn't even know she had made that much of an impact. But just by being the constant, letting them know when stuff gets bad, when it gets tough, I'm not bailing. I will stick by you. And they haven't had anybody that'll do that for them.
Talk about the importance of the program. Talk about the success stories. I mean, right there's just one that made a difference. You know, there's the old saying that you know, if you make a difference in one child's life, then it's worth it. I like to take it a little bit further. If you truly make a difference in one child's life, chances are you're not trying hard enough. You need to reach more.
You need more. Well, and our kids too. If we can stop the cycle. That's part of the difference we make, because if we can show these children there's another way, you are worth it. You can succeed. A lot of these kids just don't realize they have much value because they've just kind of been tossed around. So if a guardian can make them realize you matter, that's huge. And that can change not only their life, but their children and generations to come, because we see it's a cycle. We have children now who their parents were kids in the system. So wow, if somebody doesn't step in and help break that cycle. Certainly you have some of your stories that don't end the way we would hope them to end. We always try unification. We know kids love mom and dad, and it amazes me day in and day out the abuse or neglect a child can be subjected to. And when you say, where do they want to be? I want to go back to mommy. I want to be with daddy. So that bond is strong, and we know that. So if we can help fix the problem, we don't have to come in like the police. Again, we didn't remove the children. Nobody's mad at us. And we don't have to prove or disprove allegations. So if we can come in and say, what's going on here? Can I build some rapport? Can I learn what happened with this family? We always ask the parents, why do you think the department, why do you think the state took your children? And we've had parents who have said, nobody ever asked me that before. Now, they might not tell you the truth. It might be their version of it. But if we can build a relationship, maybe some healing can take place. Because I don't believe parents get up every morning and think, you know, I want to abuse my kids today. They're hurting people. So if we can help figure out how this family can mend, maybe we can get them back together. If we can't, there are other options. Children can be adopted. Maybe a relative can raise them till they're 18. And we have story after story of just successes where a difference was made because of the guardian. We had one story where it was actually the mom. The little girl was reunified with mom. And mom needed to get a job, and she was trying. She was going to all these interviews and just not getting a single call back. And we all know the past couple of years, looking for jobs has been tough. She didn't have a lot of skills, but the guardian had built such rapport with this whole family that mom didn't feel threatened by her. So one day when the guardian was visiting, she said, you know, mom was saying, I can't get a job. So the guardian said, well, do you have an outfit? Do you have some clothes that you wear when you go? And she said, yes. So she showed Mom her special outfit for interviewing, and it was not appropriate. She thought she was doing a good job, but normally she was in jeans and a T-shirt, but it was not appropriate. So the Guardian, through some of our resources, got her a couple outfits for interviewing and for work, and then practiced role-playing with her, how you interview. The very next job she went on, she got. I was like, wow, that mom was so proud of herself. She's going to do a better job with her children. She loves her kids, but now she feels good about herself because she's got a job. And she actually has a job where she's got an ID badge. And when she went to court the next time, she said to the Guardian, what should I wear? And the Guardian said, you want to wear one of your work outfits. And she said, you wear your name badge. And the judge even commented about, you know, how nice she looked, and I see you've got a job and you're doing well. So it was noticed. So those little things that help encourage somebody when they're just really down, and that affects the kids. That little one is back with her mom and they're doing great. The case is closed and they're doing really well.
Once you go through the training, once you say you're assigned to your first child, worst case scenario, best case scenario, how much time are you talking about from the time you pick up to the case? And of course, dockets being what they are within the court system, it dictates. But that, you know, how much time a week are you looking at committing to?
It's more about 8 or so hours a month. The beauty of it is you can do it when it works for you. When you want to make your phone calls to a teacher or a doctor or to get medical records, or when you want to make your visits. A lot of it you can do on your schedule. Your court hearings come up about every 4 months, but because you're part of a team and you're going to work so closely with your coordinator and our attorneys, if you're not available, they go to court for you. So we always have representation there, and I know one of our attorneys is always there, whether the volunteer guardian or the staff person is the guardian. So we have probably about 51–52% of our volunteers still work full-time because it's so doable on your own schedule.
All right, so if people are interested, you know, how do they go about doing as such?
Well, they can call. Our office number is 863-534-4605. They can call, ask for Diane, and I can give them the information, mail them an application, email an application, or they can actually go to www.becomeaguardian.com. When they hit the submit button, it comes right to my email, and again, I can get any information back to them. I can give them a phone call. People have two major questions: how much time, and will I be safe? And the time, we do very much look at a schedule. If somebody is working full-time or they travel a lot, we have cases from mild neglect, which certainly isn't excusable, but it is the milder side of the range, to the very severe abuse. So we look at our volunteers, what is your schedule like? What can you handle? We don't want to overwhelm any volunteer. So we very much try to fine-tune the cases to work for the volunteers. The other issue is safety, and everybody always worries about, oh, will I be safe? Where will I have to go? They are never going to put themselves in an unsafe or uncomfortable situation. I started as a volunteer almost 11 years ago, and that was the first thing my husband was like, I don't know if you should do that. Where will you have to go? I've never been in an unsafe situation. I do use common sense. If I was going to visit the children at a caregiver and I drive down the street and I think, oh, I'm a little worried about the neighborhood or parking my car here, I keep going. I either take my coordinator, we have mentors for the volunteers, another volunteer, they go with you, we go see the children at school. You're perfectly safe at school. We call the department worker and say, when are you going to pick up the children and mom and have a supervised visit? Can I come and observe? So lots of ways we can get all the information we need without anybody ever being put in an uncomfortable situation.
And of course, being trusted in care of these children, you're going to go through some sort of background check?
Yes, we do. We do local background checks, and then we do fingerprinting. There's no expense to the volunteer. Our state office covers the expense. We do fingerprinting during training. During one of the 3 days, we bring people into our office. We get the results, and then they're good to go.
With what little time we have left, Diane, I want you to inspire those at home. Get off the couch, move away from their desk, get out of that chair, and give back to this community and pay it forward. Do that if you could, please.
That's a tall order, right? I myself, it's a passion. I worked for the airlines. I did this as a volunteer. I'm now here full time for the past 8 years because you make a difference. One child at a time, we are making a huge difference. It doesn't always have the outcome we have, but that's life. Sometimes things don't work the way we hope they do. But if you know I've been there for a child during one of the toughest points in their life, life-threatening, life-transforming, you can make a difference just by being there.
Well, Diane, thank you very much for coming in. And as usual, you're welcome on the show. Anytime that you have anything going on, we'll be more than happy to promote it for you.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you very much.
And she's Diane Schmelz. She is the recruiter and training coordinator for the Guardian Ad Litem program. If you're sitting at home and thinking to yourself, you know, this is a program that I really need to get involved in, it's very simple. They're always looking for volunteers. You may say to yourself, how can I do that? Well, it's as simple as picking up a phone, giving them a call, 863-534-4605. They're at 205 East Main Street in Bartow. The training sessions for the Guardian Ad Litem program are approximately every 4 to 5 weeks. And if you need more information, go to becomeaguardian.com and register today. Make sure you make a difference in this community that we live in, Polk County.